Radio 4MW first spoke with Emelda Davis in September last year when we talked about the 150th anniversary of blackbirding in Australia. As many Torres Strait Islanders know, blackbirding was the practice of bringing South Sea Islanders, many forcibly, to Australia, where they worked in the harshest of conditions on sugarcane, pastoral and maritime industries, particularly Queensland and New South Wales. Now, today, the descendants of these people often tend to suffer the same disadvantages as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, in that they remain largely marginalised in Australia's wider society, where they face the ongoing consequences of cultural kidnapping, identity, loss of family, and severe lack of government services in education and well-being. Emelda joins us again on the program today to talk about the Interim Association of Australian South Sea Islanders and what they are hoping to achieve. Emelda, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, how are you going? It's I don't know if you can hear this speakerphone. Someone's calling out on it. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah,
welcome. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Emelda, can you tell us about some of the ways that Australian South Sea Islanders remain marginalised in Australia's wider community?
Yeah, Jenny. Look, it's been an unaddressed issue since the call for recognition in 1992, and the Commonwealth, Queensland government in particular, in 2001 recognised Australian South Sea Islanders as a distinct ethnic race, and that we value our cultural and heritage and wish to identify strongly, independently of our other Pacific Islander community people that are here. And one of the things that haven't been addressed is the action plan, which was endorsed by the Queensland government. And there were 5 points that addressed lack of education programs and services, health and wellbeing, the usual needs of our Indigenous communities. And to date, it still hasn't been addressed accordingly. So in some cases, in a minimal sense, because we are of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage as well, but you know, on a bigger scale, we don't have the full inclusion in meaningful programs and services that are due, and 150 years overdue, in fact. So these issues are very similar, or are the same as our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families and communities.
Mm-hmm. How did so many South Sea Islanders become so connected with the Torres Strait Island people?
Between 1863, as you know, and 1908, there was a indentured labour trade where akin to slavery, where there were 55,000 odd Pacific Islander, and predominantly those islanders were men that were brought to Australia. Now, when they came here, obviously they settled with and had children with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, and as well were treated in the same manner. There was no real difference. I mean, slavery existed first and foremost with Aboriginal, Torres Strait, and then Australian South Sea Islanders. So being used in the pastoral, maritime and indentured labour industries, we are one. And, of course, over a 40-year period, you're going to get mixed relationships in terms of heritage. And when the White Australia policy was introduced in 1901, a lot of those families ran or hid within our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, as well as were allowed to stay. Very few were allowed to stay because of their marriage and significance of that relationship. But that's basically how it happened as well. With the Torres Strait, the coming of the light was brought through by specifically South Sea Islander missionaries. Of course, there were white missionaries. They wouldn't have been able to get across without that. But at the same time, that was a huge influence on the Torres Strait Islands. And we've got a Professor Steve Mullins from Central Queensland University at Rockhampton, and he speaks to that. Or you can actually log on to our website and listen to his speech. He speaks about Pastor Dave Passy and that connection in terms of the coming of the light and Australian South Sea Islander connection in the Torres Strait, which is really interesting. It's not something that's common knowledge. So we're looking at advocating and creating a stronger awareness for our communities and looking at how we can best work together to overcome a lot of this adversity that we face today.
Why was the Interim Association of Australian South Sea Islanders set up?
It was set up in terms of being able to continue and advocate for the proper recognition. Yes, we have recognition. 1994 saw the Commonwealth recognise us. Yes, we have 2001 where the Queensland government made a commitment. We have just as recently as the 15th of August in 2013 where New South Wales Parliament recognised Australian South Sea Islanders, but there's no one to actually push for and advocate for those the development of those programs and services. It's one thing to have parliamentary and Commonwealth recognition, but it's another to actually implement programs and services from a South Sea perspective especially. But bearing in mind that we are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage, so we have to work together in consideration with first and foremost. And that organisation, the Interim National Body, is set up specifically to develop a national representation, but also start those very much needed conversations that we're having now. Long-winded, eh?
Yes. Emelda, there's a special forum being held in Mackay on Thursday and Friday of this week. It's called Wantok. What is that forum aiming to achieve?
Okay, so first and foremost, the word Wantok is common in the Pacific Islands and in Bislama or broken English, some people say. It's a pidgin word for like cuz, brother, or, brethren, and it means common language or commonality in culture and heritage. And Wantok is established to provide a platform for all of our community to come together collectively and discuss the further developments. Now, there's a lot of issues surrounding the development of this national body model, but Mackay is a critical community because it's our biggest Australian South Sea Islander community in Australia, and I think it will actually define the direction. This conference will be quite significant in the scheme of things. We've had Wantok 2012 at Bundaberg, we've had Brisbane, we've had Tweed Heads, and the momentum now is to go to Mackay and really sort of bring it home, I guess, and establish this moving forward in a big way. So we've got some very strong collaborative agencies that are non-South Sea, but Gilbert and Tobin law firm, who is known within the Aboriginal community. They're a national law firm, are coming in to do pro bono corporate governance discussions around, what a national body looks like and a possible federation model, and just address some of those unanswered questions in the community. You know how mob get when it's like, there's a movement happening and everyone sort of wants to know the ins and outs of everything, which is good, because if you don't ask, you don't learn, and you don't, I guess, gain anything. So these questions will be answered by us and the board, and also Gilbert and Tobin law firm, who will put it all into perspective from a corporate governance point of view.
Looking ahead, what are your hopes for Australia's South Sea Islander community?
Okay, my hopes, or our hopes, I should say, the hopes of Australian South Sea Islander hearts and community, I believe, is to have a truly national representative body. We really do have to get this right. If you don't lay the correct foundation, it's not going to move forward. And we build on the great work that's been done by our past ancestors and elders, and there's a lot of great information and knowledge and history to draw from, but we're using and utilising across the nation. All the community organisations are revived, per se, and or there's a platform, where we can really come and voice all the great work that's been done. So I hope for strong community cohesion and representation, and I hope for a strong national body representation more than anything, so that everybody feels that they're truly represented from all levels of community capabilities, if that makes sense. So it's important that we try and just access that grassroots perspective, because it starts with the people first and foremost, and that's something that the government misses all the time. You see all this top-down approach to dealing with our issues, and really the people have the solutions to the issues because the people are living it. So if we can have something that's, focused on and committed to that grassroots perspective, and I believe that we can overcome a lot of what we're facing today.
Lastly, do you have a website and phone number that people can use if they'd like more information?
Yes, most definitely. Everything that I'm sort of referring to, or if you need further clarity, we've got a website now that's hosting a lot of the documentation, the historical documentation in reference to Aboriginal, Torres Strait and South Sea Islander kinship, Aboriginal and Torres Strait and South Sea Islander, Torres Strait Islander connections. There's about 17 documents on that website, www.assipj.com.au, www.assipj.com.au, and also there's videos. There's a lot of videos of all the speeches, New South Wales Parliament, Sydney Forum, Wantok 2012, 2013. You'll see a lot of the professors and guest speakers, community leaders speaking there about how they feel about the movement, and just to put pressure on the government to take note and to remind them of that commitment in 1994, and that we're still here and we're not going to give up.
Emelda, thank you very much. Just while you were explaining that one towards the end, I was sort of running back in my thoughts to what you said earlier about the importance of talking to the government and government taking note of this. What has the reaction been like from government so far?
Okay, well, what's happened is recently, last year in 2013, we had a meeting at Parliament House with Senator Kate Lundy, who directed us to a grant application which was open to the broader community, and it was a competitive process, but we put in a submission for 3 capacity building workshops. They're called capacity building forums, and it's Wantok 150. So it was in recognition of 150 years last year, and Mackay is the spillover from that because they weren't available to deliver last year. We were funded $50,000 to deliver 3 capacity building workshops. Now, believe me, they're getting bang for their buck given the level of delivery that we have with Wantok and the level of participation from a lot of good people, black, white, Aboriginal, Torres Strait, South Sea mob, that have all committed to the delivery of the development of this national body representation. So that was a real coup for us. 50,000 isn't much in the scheme of things, given a lot of organisations to run conferences get over $60,000 per conference. But we make do. We're savvy for work, as you know, and we're doing a great job in this delivery collectively. So we've been funded by the Commonwealth, and we hope that they follow through. So we've got a lot of reporting after Wantok, Mackay. We've got a lot of reporting to do because, as you know, you're accountable for all those funds, and hopefully it'll be impressive in the fact that maybe they'll look at supporting us even further in the future.
Thank you very much for that.
And thank you, Jenny, for MW for being so supportive, and big SO to everybody out there.
Big SO.
Take care, sis.